And welcome back to the Zone, everybody. I am Brant Fowler, aka the Gonzo Goose, back with you for another installment of
Zone 4, Top 5.
Alright, so before I get into it, I apologize for it being late this week. I've had a very hectic, very busy week, and on top of that, I've kind of come down with something, so I'm a little bit under the weather as well, but I've been swamped with work and everything, so I apologize this is late. I'll try to have the next one on time, which is Monday or Tuesday, is the usual update day for these. So, but I do apologize. But enough of that. Again, before we get into the top 5, I do have 2 honorable mentions for this week. There were several good books that came out this week. I'd say there was probably about 10 good books, and about, the rest of them were kind of average. No real bad books, except for maybe like 1 or 2. But anyway, the 2 honorable mentions. First of all, The Wake, number 6 of 10. This is the second half of the series that we waited for, several months. And it's the kickoff of the Future arc, where they're 200 years into the future. Just still fantastic art. I love the story. It didn't quite make the top 5 because it was a setup issue for this next arc of the story, the final arc. So, but still fantastic issue. And the other honorable mention is Serenity, Leaves on the Wind, number 2 of 6. And I'm a big Firefly fan, so this was. I think these characters are dead on in this book. Really enjoying it. It's, as far as the way they're written, their likenesses could be a little bit better, but overall, great book. And this was another great issue. But it was kind of it was a setup to the middle of the story, where everything is gonna kick up a notch. But still, fantastic issue. So those are our honorable mentions. So with that done, let's jump right into the top 5.
Number 5.
Alright, so coming in at number 5 is a book that has, actually I don't think it's made it to the top 5 since I started doing these. Maybe once, I don't remember, but it is The Walking Dead, number 122, from Image Comics, of course, written by Robert Kirkman with art by alright, with art by Charlie Adler and Cliff Rathburn. Sorry about that, it just fell. I'll pick it up later. Anyway, so this was a really good issue, though. All Out War is really starting to heat up here. The first half of the issue was, very talky. Not a whole lot of forward momentum, but some things happened within the issue that kind of just really clicked for me. It's been out for a little bit, minor spoilers, but Negan, he's come up with this way to take out Rick's group by I guess, not smothering is not the word, I don't know, covering all their weapons in zombie saliva and blood and all this stuff, so that when they hit them with them, it makes contact, cuts them or whatever, and that gets in there, and boom, they're done, they're dead. It's very diabolical. And Rick, he's gathering people. More people are coming into Hilltop. That's where they've kind of gone, and everybody's looking at Rick and Maggie as leaders, and they're trying to get everything together, trying to get Ezekiel and all this stuff in line so they can prepare for the next phase of this, and but they're not expecting Negan to jump right into it. And as the issue ends, this is a spoiler, so but as the issue ends, Negan and his troops are standing right above Hilltop saying, "We attack tonight." So, what's coming, and I think that's why I thought this was such a fantastic issue. Yeah, next issue is going to be all the action and the fighting and everything, but this was just, it was brilliantly paced, and it was just that leading up to that inevitable battle, and not, Rick and them at the mercy basically, of Negan and his group, and it was just, like I said, diabolical, very evil and sinister. So, looking forward to the next issue, but that is why The Walking Dead number 122 lands at number 5.
Number 4.
Number 4 is the next chapter, the next part of the trial of Jean Grey. It is Guardians of the Galaxy number 12, and written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by Sarah Pichelli and I can't remember the other artist's name. Sarah Pichelli and Stuart Immonen. Jeez, how can I forget that? Beautiful, stunning artwork throughout this issue. I absolutely am in love with the art here. Sarah Pichelli, fantastic. Stuart Immonen, fantastic. Those two together, it was brilliantly told, brilliantly laid out. There was some emotional moments with Cyclops here, both with Corsair and with X-23, and you had the whole Jean Grey being taken before the tribunal and everything. I thought this was a great issue. I love this issue. I love the story. I know some people think that the Guardians of the Galaxy side is kind of slower. I don't know, and maybe that, I don't know. I haven't really read any reviews or whatever, or even watched any reviews of what people are thinking of the trial of Jean Grey, but I'm really enjoying it, and I think this was near perfect issue. The only reason it's lower on the top 5 is because A, there were a few really, really stellar books above it, and B, because it was, again, it was not the climax of the story. It was like the rising arc. It was leading up to that inevitable conflict where they go in and storm the Citadel or whatever and try to rescue Jean. It was them getting up to that point, and Jean being led to the tribunal and it beginning her trial or whatever. So that's the only reason, or the only 2 reasons that it was a little bit lower, but still great issue, amazing art. I can't get enough of that art. In these two-page spreads that they keep doing in these in this whole story on the Guardians of the Galaxy ship, excuse me. Beautiful, love them. So that's why Guardians of the Galaxy number 12 lands at number 4.
Number 3.
Number 3 was a surprise for me, quite a surprise actually. I did not expect to really like this book. I have not enjoyed most of the Superman books from the New 52. The only 2 that I've really gotten into are Superman Unchained, which got kind of slow and fell off for me, and Superman Wonder Woman, which I still think is the best Superman title out there right now. But this one is a one-shot. It is Superman Lois Lane number 1. It's written by Marguerite Bennett, with art by Emmanuel Lupacchino, Megan Hedrick, Ig Gara, and Diogenes Nevis on pencils, Guillermo Ortego, Megan Hedrick, Roy Jose, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing names, and Mark Deering on inks, Hi-Fi on colors. This was a really fun issue. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of a Lois and Lucy Lane story, going back to their childhood, and kind of telling the story of their relationship, both with each other and with their parents, and leading up to their mother's eventual sickness and unfortunate death, and how how General Lane had to kind of step up, and just the struggles they went through. It kept flashing back to that. And at the same time, you have this current story where Lucy comes frantic because her roommate and friend has been kidnapped by these spooks. And, Lois Lane has to investigate and figure out what's going on. And then it's this whole thing that revolves around this new street drug that's kind of mutating people into these half animal, half, alien-like creatures. And Lois Lane has to infiltrate and try to rescue, and then she realizes that Lucy is a lot worse off than she thought she was, and trying to put behind her all the big sister judgmental kind of stuff and try to just be there for her. And it was a really touching story, beautifully illustrated, and I just really had fun with this story. I thought it was a really, really good issue. So yeah, it surprised me, took me by surprise, and it's one of the ones that I enjoyed the most this week, obviously, and that's why Superman Lois Lane #1 lands at number 3.
Number 2.
So number 2 is a book that again has fallen off of my top 5, and it's a Spider-Man book, and I don't know how Spider-Man just keeps getting beat out, but this week it didn't. Superior Spider-Man number 28, part 2 of Goblin Nation, written by Dan Slott with art by Giuseppe Camuncoli. Fantastic issue. This is the issue of this whole story that I've been waiting for. You have the warring goblins. They're attacking every aspect of Peter's life, and just going all out, kidnapping his relatives, or trying to, and everything, and trying to get at Peter, and Peter's or not Peter but Doc Ock as Peter, of course, and he's trying to put his own plans into motion to try to thwart this, and Carly shows up, the Goblin Carly, and her and Doc Ock Peter have a confrontation and all that, and that's at the Parker Industries or whatever it's called, and so that's going all chaotic and everything, and his business partner's freaking out about that, and you have Mary Jane attacked, and the most beautiful part of this issue is Mary Jane, and this is a minor spoiler too, the best part of the issue though, Mary Jane finally being the Mary Jane that we've all wanted to see, and the one that we need to see in this series, and she pulls out web shooters, and she's like fighting the little goblin kids that used to be the Vulture's little minions, and now they're the goblins, and it was brilliant. I absolutely love this issue. The only reason it got number 2 is because it was one issue I loved a little bit more, but yeah, that's why Superior Spider-Man number 28 lands at number 2.
Number 1.
Alright, so here we are with the number 1 book, which coincidentally is a number 1 issue. And I don't know, this book just kind of blew me away. I know a lot of people feel the same way. Some people are kind of in the middle about it, but I really, really loved this book. And this is Fantastic Four number 1, written by James Robinson with art by Leonard Kirk. This is the Fantastic Four book that I have been waiting for years. I have always had a hard time getting into the Fantastic Four. I love them as characters. I love them as a concept. I love the Thing, Human Torch, Invisible Woman, even Reed Richards. I love the whole family aspect of their story. I even love the movies. I'm one of those. But I've never been able to get into the comic for whatever reason. And, granted, I did read a reprint of issue number 1, the giant size number 1, telling the original story, and that was great. But I have not gone back and read the really original stuff. But I've been trying to get into this book since the late 80s. Every single incarnation of the title, and I just can't do it. I keep trying, and they just lose me at every turn. But this issue totally sold me. I love the art. Leonard Kirk is one of my favorite artists right now. He did the Hunger miniseries, which was the prelude to Cataclysm. Absolutely fell in love with his art in that series. Love his art here. Just beautiful layouts and great action scenes, and nice emotions on the characters. One of my favorite artists. And James Robinson, I'm kind of hot and cold on his work of late, but this was one that really, really sang to me. Just the whole concept of the story. It's the fall of the Fantastic Four. This is the first chapter, and we start off with Sue Richards narrating. She's writing this letter, and she's narrating basically how each of them fell, and we see what happens to them eventually. But then we flash back to the events that start leading up to that, and they're battling Fin Fang Foom, and that's just, that's just fun. That's fun to watch them battling Fin Fang Foom. And then, they notice something's a little bit off about that, and then there's this negative zone breakout, and all this stuff, and it's just, they were totally in character. James Robinson had fun with them. He kind of played with old nuances, like Sue saying, "We're not a good wife," and stuff like that, and I thought that was a nice touch. It was a little bit of sarcasm, harkening back to those classic stories, but also, respecting them in the same breath. So I loved this issue, and that's why Fantastic Four #1 lands at #1. So there you have it. That's my top 5 for books, and I didn't say this at the beginning, so I apologize, for books that came out on February 26, 2014. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these issues, or what your top picks were for the week of February 26th, so leave those in the comments below, and hopefully I will be back on time next week with books for March 5th. I already know one of them that's going to make the top 5 without even reading anything else, so that should be very interesting. But thank you for watching, and thank you for bearing with me with it being a late video, and check out all I was going to say all the other videos, but there's not very many videos over here. Please listen to the Zone 4 podcast every Friday, though. You can find that on zone4podcast.com, comicrelated.com, comicspodcast.com, and in video format on comicfrontline.com, as you can see the logo on the t-shirt back there. It goes up every Friday night on all of those channels, so it will be up tonight as you're watching this. So be on the lookout for that, because this week we had a fantastic discussion. It was kind of a sidetrack. We talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the latest episode, but then we go into some headlines. We start talking about Eric Stevenson's speech at the Comics Pro Summit. That whole speech about the industry and everything. We kind of sidetrack Eric Stevenson being the publisher of Image Comics. And we kind of sidetrack into this big, long, great discussion about the industry and everything, and we kind of circle around back to that after a few other headlines too, and it was a nice sidetrack, nice long show, and then we review 2 new #1 books, one from Image, one from Dark Horse. So really great show this week. I hope you guys tune in and let us know what you think about it. And I mentioned Comic Frontline. Please check those out. Check that channel out for videos to update almost daily. I do weekly reviews over there as well, so be on the lookout for those coming from me probably either this weekend or early next week, because like I said, I'm just a really busy week this week, and I don't know what my time is like. So, but definitely check those out daily. All kinds of series over there. It's not just reviews of comics. We got toys, TV shows, movies, DVDs. There's blind bag openings, unboxings, comic hauls, all kinds of stuff over there. So check that out at youtube.com/comicfrontline, and check out comicrelated.com and comicfrontline.com, both your #1 source for comic news, reviews, podcasts, webcomics, columns, so much more. And I'm going on and on, so I'm going to end this here. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.
This has been a Gonzo Goose production.